Okay. Dearest listeners,
Book babes and book bros.
welcome to Book Babble. I'm Rachel.
And I'm Tanya, and we have a special co-host today, Morgan.
Hello.
Hi. And so today we have a special guest star as our author. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Jenny Grimes and I write dark romantasy. And I've got 3 books currently out right now.
Well, Jenny, we're so happy to have you on. Are you ready to babble?
I think so.
All right, I will put five
Always.
minutes. I'll put our 5-minute timer on, and our anxiety can start going.
Oh
So
my gosh, I can see it too. Okay, I'm okay.
the first question I always ask is what inspired you to write your work?
I absolutely have always been a reader first. So I just love escapism and I read all different kinds of books, contemporary, historical fiction, nonfiction, but in my adulthood, fantasy has sort of been where it's at, and obviously romance as well. And so I think that I've always been inspired to write stories. And I've always had such a deep love for stories. So I think what inspired me to write was always just taking that escapism to the next level. Because when you write, you can actually really obsess about the things that you're trying to kind of put down on paper. But this particular story, the Soul Magic series, that inspired me just after reading some of um, the newer fantasy romance that's out there, stuff that I really hadn't touched upon, in the past couple of years, just because I've had kids and crazy life and all sorts of things. But just sort of coming back to that genre and really, really enjoying it again. Um, and then also just wanting to write a story that was maybe not quite so long, maybe not quite so, I want it to be really digestible because I am a busy mom. I get very intimidated by these like 600 page, very, very
Yep.
big, epic
Yes.
stories. And I wanted to prove to myself and to anybody that, picked these up that you can find an epic story and an epic romance in a small package. So
Oh,
that's
I
kind of
love
where I
that.
was at with that.
Perfect. So out of all of these worlds that you have built, all these characters you've created, who do you most closely relate to?
Ferris.
Fair.
I
Tell us
mean, I wish
more.
I could say I wrote all these like badass women and they're amazing and they're powerful, they're whatever. I wish I could say any of one of them. That's what I would like to be like, but I'm probably more like Ferris. I I think that, his love for being optimistic in a difficult situation, um, his absolute acceptance with just, waking up in a fairy realm. I mean, if that happened to me, I'd be like, sold. You don't have to explain anything to me. I'm good with this, kind of
Right.
thing. He just wants it to
Bye.
be real so badly. So
Mhm.
that's probably me.
Right. Like just let me have my dog and my cat with me and I'm set. Like,
I know. And so many people were like, I don't get that. And I'm like, oof, that's the most me though that's in this book.
yeah.
So
Oh
I
All right. So earlier you mentioned that you read a whole bunch of different genres in books. And so my question for you is out of every book character in existence, from every book in existence, who is your favorite?
ooh, that's an easy one.
Oh,
Elizabeth Bennet.
oh, okay.
I bet Rachel just fell in love with you, Jenny.
I
We're
mean,
best friends now.
100%. In fact, I read so much Jane Austen that like my publisher has to keep telling me, you're not British. Like,
You're
why are you writing like this? And I'm like, well, I know, but like I sometimes like the way my characters talk and things like I can't sometimes disassociate from all of the Austen that I read. I actually even have a tattoo that says
Love that.
obstinate headstrong girl. So I'm a little obsessed.
Very
Rachel's
nice.
100% obsessed with you now.
And now I'm your biggest fan. So yeah, congrats.
Don't even ask me how many like different editions of Pride and Prejudice I own. It's bad. And I don't want it on camera because my husband will be like, "You have how many?"
You should just have Rachel unblur her background.
It's on the other wall. It's actually the other wall is my Austen wall.
That's amazing.
So what's your process? How do you get the stuff in your head onto the paper?
That's probably one of the things I'm the most proud about this whole process because I've been writing since I was a kid. I mean, the first time I got a laptop, I was like, and now it begins. Like I just filled it with all sorts of different things. Unfinished stories, finished story, well, things I thought were finished story. But with this particular series, I had so many ideas so fast that I actually did kind of develop a process, and it's served me personally very well. I usually write a handwritten outline. I'll fill a notebook. It'll look like absolute psychotic chaos. And then
Yeah.
I'll put that into a typed up outline, usually by scene. Sometimes I try to do by chapter, but it never ever ends up like how it starts. And so I will do that. And I mean, sometimes they're like 50-page outlines or, they're huge outlines. And then I go and I write from there. And so when people are like, oh my goodness, like, how do you like write these books so fast? Things like that. It's like when you have that much detail in an outline, it really does come together. And so I never really experienced like a writer's block because yeah, there's sometimes I hit a bump where I'm like, oh, I don't really like how that went. But then I just go back to it later and I just keep going because I have it all laid
Yeah.
out. And I know
Mhm.
some people just can't even consider an outline. I never was one of those people, but that's kind of been my process for this. And, it really works because I'm the type of person that does have a lot of ideas. I'm always thinking about the next book or the next two books or the next series, kind of thing. And so I'm able to kind of get stuff down and organized in a way where I can just kind of go badoop, 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 and get it all out.
That just
Nice.
reminded me of that. That's also sorry.
That's the sound in my brain.
Yeah.
Now you guys know that's the secret. I'm typing and that's the only sound I
Yeah.
hear. No,
That's the
Well,
real reason for the outline.
yeah.
pretty much.
Well,
Well,
congratulations, Jenny. You made it through our 5-minute round. So this piece will go on our social channels, and then we're going to just keep chatting. And that piece, the full episode, will go up on YouTube and Spotify.
perfect. Thank you
So
so much, you guys.
instead of me taking up the entire episode like I typically do, I'm going to let Rachel and Morgan drive the rest of the conversation.
All
That's
right.
pretty rude. That's pretty rude. However, I think Rachel will appreciate my question because um, you were saying how you love Pride and Prejudice and Elizabeth Bennet is like your all-time favorite character. And so are there any Elizabeth Bennet inspired pieces or characters in any of your stories
You
or
know,
upcoming stories? Cough, cough.
I do feel like the next series that I'm writing, no.
Okay.
No, definitely not. But I do think that one of the things that I loved about um well, Pride and Prejudice, but really a lot of Austen's heroines are they are so likable but so imperfect. Like
Mm.
there's so many characters out there that can be controversial or they do things and then sometimes people lose love for them indefinitely. And I think that these there's a lot of FMCs out there that some people are like, oh, they're really annoying, or oh, I didn't really connect to them, or oh, the feminine rage, like it gets to be so much sometimes. And I loved Opal's sort of baseline. I feel like in a way it's kind of Austen-esque in the sense that like you yes, she does things that maybe you don't like, but at her core, she's such a likable character and she's so open, especially in the end of her, you know, her obstacles and her challenges, in the end, she is so reflective and she is so willing to kind of try to change and try to like become a better version of herself. And I think that was always somewhat not surprising in Austen's characters,
Hmm.
but you know, it's so easy to be like, oh, girl power, like these are such, strong women. And for the time periods, they absolutely were.
Yeah.
But I think one of the reasons why we like them so much is they weren't perfect,
Right.
and they did make silly decisions. And sometimes they made them for really good reasons. And you know, sometimes it was like the factors of the time they were living in that they made their decisions
Hmm.
and stuff. And I feel like all of that is like these women in my books. Sometimes their decisions are kind of not their own. Sometimes they're forced to make decisions. Sometimes they just make bad decisions. But in the end, at their core, they're very likable because they're not human because they're not human, but there is that like, what is it? Perfectly imperfect quality to
Yeah.
them. And I like that.
Very nice. So you make them very like relatable for your readers,
Try,
essentially. Yeah.
try.
Very nice. Very nice.
Like, who says you can't have feminine rage if you also pair it with a little bit of character growth? Come on.
Exactly. Because
Yes.
let's face it, as women especially, we want it all.
Yes.
Yeah.
We should
And now they
deserve
can
it all.
have it. So, like,
Exactly.
good job. Rachel, you next.
I couldn't get my audio to unmute. But we are actually at time. So this is when I usually ask if you have anything that you wanted to say to your readers or to the listeners or anything that you wanted to share that we haven't touched on yet.
Oh my gosh, just that the readers that have found these books have been absolutely just a joy to write for. And they keep bringing more people into the shady life with all of these books and all of these stories. And that they have been the piece of this that I did not anticipate. I just, I mean, I had always been kind of a shy writer and not really shared my work with anybody. And so doing this was always such a, you know, will anybody read these books? Will they like them?
Mhm.
But then I went from that to, oh my God, people are reading these books. Will they like them? And now I'm kind of at this place where I'm like, oh my God, people are reading these books and they like them. So, I just am so thankful. And I really do hope that the people that, find these books, um, obviously that they continue to enjoy them, but also that they just know that they made my day, made my month, made my year.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes. Well, we're so happy that you put them out into the world, and you've built this great readership. So thank you, for doing that for all of us. And Jenny, and we have had such a blast having you on today. I hope we get to see you again soon.
absolutely. I hope so too.
All right, have a good one.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Bye.
you guys have a great day.
Bye.